Over to you.
Hi, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to meet and be part of SA Property Investors Network. We're looking forward to interacting with a lot of you investors, people who are looking to invest specifically in the inner city. And that's something we're really passionate about. So we're looking for individuals who are passionate about changing, transforming lives, bringing property to the inner city market. Inner city market is predominantly individuals who are looking for affordable accommodation, quality accommodation, and transforming the city. So those are the people we want to partner with, and we hope there's lots of investors within the network who are that way inclined and would want to join us. So in this short presentation, I want to be sharing a little bit more about Tuhf, who we are, what have we been doing for the last 17 years, and hopefully start maybe telling as many investors as we can about the opportunities that are in South African inner cities. And just a little bit more about our philosophy. So my name is Seko Mbatha. I'm Seko Mbatha for short. I'm a financial analyst at Tuhf, working in our development impact units, where we basically measure the impact of investment and the impact of our investment in the inner city over the years, right? So I'll be just taking you through the journey of who is Tuhf. Okay, so just a quick one. So who are we? So we are a leading provider or financier, commercial property financier, who specifically finances in South Africa through basically non-bank financial services. So what we have done over about 17 years, we've provided about 40,500 units. We've basically supported or financed about 608 buildings that are currently in our book as we speak. We've been in operation for about 17 years. And we have offices in all, it basically representing pretty much all the major metros in the country, all 8 metros in the country. So we have an office in Gauteng, which is more or less our head office. We have a Pretoria office, where we have a bit of presence. We have a presence in our Pretoria office. We service Ekurhuleni, we service Durban, and we also service Durban PE and Bloemfontein. We also find that we also service the city of Cape Town. So we basically are focused around inner cities and their surrounding nodes, the surrounding suburbs around the inner city. And that's basically the areas that we finance, and I'll go into more detail. And what we've been able to do is back 403 entrepreneurs. So these are people who are looking for maybe a little 4-story walk-up lending opportunity in the inner city, all the way to about 400 units. So a little 2-story walk-up, all the way to about 400 units. Developments from about R1 million all the way to about 100 million rand. So that's basically the people we're looking for. And over the years, we've managed to support about 403 entrepreneurs. Now, I've just mentioned as well the kind of places that we are. I've mentioned we are in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, and servicing the major city Durban, in Eastern Cape, which is East London, and servicing PE as well, and Free State with the Western Cape through Cape Town. And we've basically managed to connect all these people. We're servicing all the major cities, all the 8 major metros in the country. So there's a little concept that I just want to share with you guys, something we're really passionate about. And we say we create massive impact through small changes in every space we operate. Now, if you look at, I'll just make an example of like our government, right? What you always find is that there's this obsession with big, huge projects, right? Especially when we are tackling the housing market. And I mean, with property entrepreneurs as we are fulfilling more or less a human right kind of issue, or human right kind of service, which is the right to shelter. And what happens is that government in their ploy of trying to fulfill this many of those of you in the Joburg area of places like Cosmos City, places of Savannah City, with this mega unit project, right? Where they come to and they basically come through with the place. They put new piping and new infrastructure, and they start a whole entire city. And as much as that philosophy, I think it does have a place within how we try to, in this sector, try to tackle the problem of accommodation, affordable accommodation. There's another kind of way to do this, and this is what Tuhf believes in. We believe that you can make a massive contribution, one unit, a couple of units at a time. So what do I mean by that? We have been backing entrepreneurs who have provided 4 units for affordable accommodations or 4 affordable units, and provided 100 or 10 on all over the city. And the thing about it is that the city, there's already infrastructure there. You don't have to pull in any big piping. You don't have to build new streets and roads and all of those kind of things. The infrastructure is already there, and people are able to densify and build quality accommodation that is to target this. So if you look at what we have been able to support through our entrepreneurs, through innovation, and I'm glad Slindile was talking about innovation, and that's the kind of thinking that we need to have when it comes to how we bring different markets, how we bring different products into the market. We have been able to do 40,000 units. That is bigger than Cosmos City, that is bigger than Savannah City combined over 17-year periods. And it's been done by ordinary entrepreneurs, ordinary investors such as yourselves. So that's basically what we believe in, that you can make all of these small little changes and these through small incremental changes, not just all these big projects. And that's what we want to bring to the market. Now, I want to just talk about our business case. Why do we believe in the inner city? And well, and the reason is, I'm just going to try to show you this quickly, of why we believe in the inner city, what makes the inner city such a special place in order to invest. Because I mean, I can talk about all this philosophy, massive, small, what we're able to do. Let's look at regeneration. Let's transform ownership in the inner city, and so all of these things. But what are the? Will you get money for your investment? So I just want to take you through this circle and why the inner city. So the first do this whenever I'm presenting in the office, and we're lucky to be in a place in Bloemfontein when you can see the city. And I always say to people, look at the city. And I mean, think of any city, from if you're in Pretoria, if you are in Bloemfontein, and think about how many sectors, how many economies do you see there? From Johannesburg, from where we stand, from our window, you can see government offices there. You can see the JD Group there. You can see SAPI there. You can see some light industrials in the Jeppe areas. And all of these are different economies, and all of these bring different cash flows there. And why is that important? With all these different cash flows, then your investment tends to be more hedged and more diversified, because the people or the clients that you would then be attracting, they would come from government, they would come from all of these different sectors that would be there. So if, for an example, you were in a small little dorpie, and no offense to anyone from that who is like a little mining town, if the mining town closes, there goes your profits, there goes your clients and your clients' clients, and then that's basically it. But with the city, there's just multi-sector economy. The other thing that I want us to point us to is urbanization, and that's the trend. There's some evidence or a research paper that is written that estimates that 70% of people in Africa will be living in urban areas, and people are flooding in. I mean, we know, and that's particularly in Gauteng, how our education department and so on is struggling to keep up with demand. People are moving into the city looking for places of employment, and that trend of urbanization is worldwide. And with that, there is going to be a lot of people there needing accommodation. There's also the trend of technology, and this is within the densification. There's a trend of new technology that would be introduced in these places. And we are finding quite a high uptick and a lot of service providers that would provide these kind of things. Now, I'll just pause here and talk about the energy price demand. And the energy price demand is something we have all felt, whether you're an entrepreneur, whoever you are, you have felt how ESCOM prices have been escalating. And between the year 2009 and 2018, that the price of has basically grown 3 times. So that's 300% in increase. And ESCOM is forever looking for increases constantly. And that with being in the inner city or being in that kind of environment, you're able to densify and therefore diversify and hedge yourself against the risk of utility demand, right? There's also high demand in inner cities. This is something that is very evident. With high population, there's high demand. And what I was speaking about earlier, that we have already there's existing infrastructure. You don't have to do any bulk infrastructure to bring anything in. There's no piping. The infrastructure is there, and usually it's just plug and play that you would have in an inner city environment. And there's also this urban densification, and that is the concept that cities around the world are trying to see how can we make use of more space. With population rising, how can we utilize space to have and house more people? And lots of cities under development, if you look at the town planning and so on, densification has become creating great healthy spaces for people to live in that are nicely densified and that people can have access to economic opportunities there. And also this nodes, local economic development nodes. And if you look at what government is trying to do, setting up urban development zones and local economic development. This is something we're really passionate about, and partnering and tapping into those nodes that are usually around city and urban areas. You could then have basically show your business. So if you look at all of these trends that I've mentioned, that makes a compelling case of why should you invest in the inner city. Now, this is in a building. I usually also do this when I'm speaking to entrepreneurs, and I say to them, would you invest your pension fund in this particular building? If you look at it here, I mean, the windows are broken, it looks a little bit derelict and so on, right? And usually individuals will say to me, no way, I wouldn't put my pension fund, I wouldn't put my mom's pension fund in this. Definitely, I'm not saying anybody should put any pension funds on anything, but I'm just saying, as an investor, would you invest in this? And a lot of people will say to me, nope, I would not invest. But then I say to them, it actually takes this kind of a special person who understands the risk and perhaps can see something where others don't. Somebody who's a bit discerning, someone who's street-wise and street-smart, who can see some opportunities. And I want to introduce you to an investor. This gentleman here, his name is Soli Ramalamula. He was an ex-cop in the Hillbrow police station, a constable, and we met him as Tuhf around the 2000s, and he came to us. He had been working in the city, he knew the places very well, and he said, listen, I've spotted a couple of opportunities that I want to exploit, and this is the people we were looking for. And through a help of a couple of instruments, our normal mortgage bond, so we finance mortgages. We give you a 15-year mortgage in which you can be able to build your accommodation, your residential accommodation, and usually it's around 80% of that finance that we give you, and you would come with your equity. And those who don't, who are struggling with equity and are previously disadvantaged individuals, we then have what we call the Intutugo fund that can come and back you. And in this particular case, we assisted Soli Ramalamula with Intutugo and the normal Tuhf debts that we give. And he then took this property, and if I can just show you what the property looks like right now. in the inner city of Johannesburg. It's basically a 107 units that is basically, I think, about 98% let, the last time I checked. It has some green solutions in there, central heating system that he has played in there, some community courts in the rooftop, and solely now is through spotting what others don't and seeing the opportunities where others don't, and through partnering with Tuhf and our expertise and the finance and our 15-year mortgage finance and into Tuhf, he was able to achieve quite a bit. So right now he also, in the same space, opened a property management company that he then operates about 1,700 units and manages for other people as well. And he's grown into a fully fledged, and if you are wondering if he's still a constable, I think that's a thing of the past. He's now fully a property entrepreneur. And these are the kind of people that we want to back. So this is just a practical example. And I would love for you, if you have any questions, if you can come to our site, maybe book some time with our portfolio managers and we can chat and see how can we assist you and for you to spot these opportunities and grow your own property portfolio, specifically in the inner city, and try and contribute to generation and local economic development. Now, there's something else I want to talk to you gentlemen about, and this is an exciting project that we are currently venturing in, and that is to assist property entrepreneurs who are interested in the township economy. And if you know very well, with all the stuff that you've been hearing and listening to, there's this new craze and there's a new emphasis on the township economy. And Tuhf, in response to that, has developed, it's using its expertise from the Tuhf group and the stuff that we've been doing in the inner city, the book, the 3.7 billion rand book that we've been able to build in the inner city, and the entrepreneurs that we've been able to back there.
Something wrong with this thing.
We've then come up with a, I don't know, Andrew, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Seko. I was just having a quick look, just saying to Simone there, I can't see your slides anymore.
No, I think it's me.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. All good.
Great. So we have come up with a concept called Umastandi, and this is a company that's specifically to bring Tuhf services to township entrepreneurs. And I hope here within the network, there's some people who maybe belong in, who probably lived in the township and want to contribute to bring quality, affordable accommodation and build quality rental accommodation for individuals there. So we call it Umastandi. And Umastandi is an African word for, basically means Uma Standi, one who had the title deed or owned the stand, right? Usually talking to female entrepreneurs like Slindile, who presented earlier on. And Umastandi is basically targeting. So what makes Umastandi different? And I'm not going to go through all the other stuff, but what if we looked at our, like, the environments that or people who or companies, institutions that finance in this space, what you'll find is that you'll have your, not, I mean, I wouldn't want to name banks, but who would give you loans to basically build affordable accommodation or build backyard accommodation. And you would find secured lending. That's basically what the graph is trying to point at. And what you'd find is that you would have your Capitex and African banks who would give you personal loans, and you would use that as with your own discretion to build this accommodation. And then you would also have your specific unsecured lendings that is brought to you by the likes of your Cash Build and so on, right? And I know you property entrepreneurs know this very well. But then they would bring this to you at exorbitant rates because it's personal finance, it's not secured. So I mean, your rates could range from 18% all the way to 26%, and it does not give you the kind of cash flow support or give you that kind of very specific lending that is meant. And that's why we then came up with this, that Mastandi would bring a specific lending, and this lending or this loan would be a 15-year mortgage for you to develop affordable accommodation in the township that is secured against a normal mortgage. Now, what this then does, it brings down the cost of funding much lower, right? So with your loan, as I mentioned, about 20% to 18% in the cost of lending, more or less, that you would have between these companies in the unsecured space. But then it would bring your cost of lending much, much lower if you now have a security and it's geared towards that. It's cash flow friendly. It's something that an entrepreneur can use to build quality, affordable accommodation, and also eke out an income and a great investment for themselves in the umastandi space. And I mean, then somewhere in the middle, you would have a DIY, which a person would finance with their own pension fund, as I mentioned earlier on. So who are we looking for? We're looking for individuals who are basically home-based landlords, maybe those who live in a particular unit and they haven't been able to explore other opportunities outside, but they're looking at their yard and they're saying, what can I do with this? So it could be somebody who has a little RDP house, so the social housing RDPs that we had received, but has a yard, a sizable yard, who has an asset. And think about this: this is an asset that government has given you. 200. I mean, what's the value of these things? 250,000 rand asset, and this existing asset already. You have it. You can be asset rich, but sometimes what you find is that these entrepreneurs are not cash rich, right? They don't have any income from there, but income poor, right? Cash rich or asset rich, but not but income poor. But now they can take this asset, build units outside, add units to that, bring some people in, and then derive rental income from that. And those are the people we want to back, who ideally own the property, maybe have a title deed. And then there's some of you, people who lived in the location or in the township at one point, who have vested interest or are interested in building a quality accommodation or spotted opportunities in your Sowetos, in your Cape Towns, in Mandalay, in Asia, wherever it might be. You've spotted some opportunities in Soweto and you're saying, I could invest there, I could build some accommodation. Could it be student accommodation or some quality family units? Already maybe own some investment somewhere, and these are the kind of people who look at for and who want to have an additional source of income, and maybe at a later stage as they grow their portfolio, go into it at a full-time basis. So those are the kind of people we're looking for. So I've got so much more to tell, a lot of stories to tell, a lot of maybe.
I'm sure you do.
But and this is basically my time, and we're hoping you can come connect with us through SAPIN Connect, and we could have a chat and see how, look at your project, what you are doing, what you are thinking, and we can share some of our expertise